Welcome everyone to today's episode. Today marks the third episode in the Empire TV, and once again, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. And to make sure that that conversation goes well, please engage and please share your comments whenever you have comments throughout the video. And more than anything, help our channel to grow by hitting that subscribe button so that you can have more of this information and so that more people can have access to this video. And at this stage, we are still basically covering the very basics. So we are doing very few videos per week, maybe once a week. And in the future, we are going to be doing a lot more. But at the moment, we're focusing on the basics. We believe that in terms of anyone understanding anything, you need the basics. You know, a lot of people focuses too much on complex stuff before they basically even learned how to crawl, and that's a fatal error. It's the biggest mistake you can have. You cannot jump steps. And when it comes to crypto, the most important thing that you need to understand is Bitcoin. And once you understand Bitcoin, then you can learn everything with reference to what Bitcoin is. What is this big misconception when it comes to crypto? The biggest misconception when it comes to crypto is that I cannot afford Bitcoin, or Bitcoin is too expensive. And quite frankly, when you look at the price of Bitcoin, that is justifiable to some extent, but only on the surface. A lot of people look at that and they disqualify themselves. And those that stays, they look at that and they look for other alternatives. And when you look for other alternatives, you're basically looking to be scammed, because in most cases, you're going to meet someone who says, hey, what do you have? Do you have $1,000? Instead of buying a quarter and a small fraction of Bitcoin, you can buy at least 100,000 of this shit coin. And the mind being what it is, it gets interested in that because it appeals to numbers, quantity. With this much, I can get more as opposed to getting less. They forget quality and they jump into that. And then before they know it, the wreck is pulled on them and they lose all their money. Now, it's very important that we talk about this subject because those people can be saved. Those people can at least have more clarity when it comes to this subject. Now, can anyone afford Bitcoin? The answer is yes. Yes. Y-E-S. Yes. Every single person can afford to have a fraction of Bitcoin. And they can afford to have that and keep their value. Now, let's look at the simplest method to make you understand that. Let's look at the US dollar. The US dollar is a means of exchange, right? It is used to exchange. We can call it money if you want. And one of the qualities of money is money needs to be divisible. And the US dollar is divisible to at least 100 units called cents, dollar cents. In the same way, Bitcoin is also divisible to a certain number of units called Satoshis. But Bitcoin is just a little bit more divisible than the US dollar. So that means with one Bitcoin, it can be divisible to 100 million units called Satoshis. So that means that 100 million units is equivalent, 100 million units called Satoshis is equivalent to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is equivalent to 100 million units called Satoshis. So what does that mean? It means that every single person in this world can have a share in that. They can afford to be able to acquire that. Okay? And to do that, I'm going to just open up this particular page to just show you this example in visual terms so that you can understand it properly. Just bear with me as I'm actually trying to find that page. I don't know where it is now. Okay, see. There you go. So this page is very powerful because it gives you a visual representation of what it is that I'm trying to explain to you. Now, this is a Bitcoin US dollar calculator where you can convert Bitcoin to US dollar and to Satoshis. Now, to simplify this, I'm going to make it 0 and explain how everything works here. Now, at the top, you have a US dollar denomination where you can put a US dollar if you want to see how many Bitcoins you will get with a certain amount of US dollars. And in the middle, you have a Bitcoin denomination whereby you can just basically put the number of Bitcoins if you want to see how much they are worth in terms of US dollars. And below that, you have sats. That sats is just abbreviation for Satoshis, which is the unit of Bitcoin. Now, to make you understand this thing in simple terms, I'm going to start with 1 Bitcoin because I think we have to start there. Because quite frankly, a lot of people, when they think Bitcoin, they're thinking, how many Bitcoins can I get? And the start for a lot of people is 1 Bitcoin. Let's look at 1 Bitcoin. Today, 1 Bitcoin is sitting at 67,000 US dollars. Okay? And when you look at the person who's staying in South Africa, I mean, that is over R1 million. And hardly even 30% of South Africans are thinking on that level. Like, a lot of people cannot afford that. So to a person who's new, they are already disqualified if they don't understand that Bitcoin is divisible to 100 million units called Satoshis. But that same Bitcoin is showing you the denomination of Bitcoin in Satoshis, okay? And you can see right there what I've just shared with you, that 1 Bitcoin is equivalent to 100 million units called Satoshis. Now, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because I want to bring your attention back to 2010, 2009, when Bitcoin was still around $1. Okay? So at some stage, a couple of years back, not a lot, I mean less than 15 years back, 1 Bitcoin was equivalent to $1. So that means if we would have came then and put 1 Bitcoin here, you were going to get $1 there. Yes. So with $1, you could get 1 Bitcoin. Now, think about this. Think about this. Today, that same $1 is 67,948,000 more. Now think about the money that you've been putting away somewhere and try to put it into this example. Let's say, for instance, you're putting about $300 a month away. If you knew about this then, and you would have put that much every month away, how much wealth would you have built? And I'm talking about the most effortless way of building wealth, where money works for you. You all you have to do is just to keep putting money there on consistent basis. Now let's not take it about putting money on consistent basis. Let's just make an example of $100. Let's just say you had the wisdom somehow 15 years ago, in 2010, not even 15 years ago, it's about 14 years ago. You had the wisdom, or somehow you got hold of a similar video like this, and somehow you had the wisdom to basically say, I just want to buy 100 Bitcoins with $100. Remember then, $1 was 1 Bitcoin? Yes, 1 Bitcoin was $1. Now that means with $100, you would have acquired 100 Bitcoins. Now, I've just put 100 Bitcoins there to show you what those 100 Bitcoins today are worth. You would have turned $100 into $6.7 million US dollars. I mean, then your $100 could not buy you a house. And you take that same $100 today, it has grown that many times. And how many houses can you buy with that? What else can you buy with that? And you're still left with something. And here's the beauty. You don't have to spend it all. You just take $1 million US dollars, buy a house. Maybe spend a little bit more. Maybe buy a car, buy this, make sure that you're able to, whatever it is. You're still left with over $5 million US dollars. And you're keeping it where? In Bitcoin. In the near future, Bitcoin will be worth more. Let me show you how. Now today, I'm going to reset this. Today, with $1, you can buy 1,472 Satoshis. $1. Tell me if there's anyone who cannot afford a dollar. Who cannot afford to have a dollar. Because if you cannot afford to have a dollar, you cannot survive in this world. It's gonna be very difficult for you. And quite frankly, I believe that at some stage people can have access to at least $1, $5, $10, $100 somehow. Now, remember, one Bitcoin or $1 or one Bitcoin was worth $1 then. Today, I'm showing you a unit of Bitcoin that is the equivalent of 1,472 compared to $1 today. Now, think about this. If we do, or when we do get to a point where one Satoshi is equivalent to $1, can you think about what's possible? Now, today, most of the exchanges will not allow you to buy with $1. Let's take this into $10. Let's see how much you can get with $10. 14,700 Satoshis. Let's say you have a little bit more, $100, 147,171 Satoshis. Let's say you can get 1,000. You can have $1,000 at some stage to have this much. Do you see what is on the screen? 1.4 million Satoshis. Now, if one Satoshi catches up with $1, and one Satoshi is equivalent to $1, with $1,000, you would have 1.4 million US dollars in the near future. Even if this does not happen in your lifetime, if you've managed to secure some of the value that you share to the world, and somehow you said, you know, I'm a doctor, maybe I'm a magistrate, or I'm this or that, and I cannot transfer that skill to my children, guess what? You can basically say, as I go out there and I get paid $1,000, I will take a piece of that, or I'll take just that, and I will make it something that represents the skill that I have to my children. That is how your children can benefit and leverage from you being a doctor, from you being a teacher, from you being whatever you are, an entrepreneur. That is the simplest way you can transfer value, transfer skill to your children's children. If this happens in 50 years and you're no longer here, guess what? That investment has grown with that much. You have preserved value. This promises legacy. This is something that can be transferred for years. And as you keep, the longer you keep it, the more it grows. Now, let's say it happens in your lifetime. And at some stage you manage to grow your portfolio into at least, you've managed to spend about 10,000 US dollars at some stage in your holding of Bitcoin. You will now have 1% of Bitcoin, which will be about 14 million Satoshis. Now, when that happens, where a Satoshi is equivalent to a US dollar, this is 14 million US dollars. Guys, this is crazy to think about. But like that guy who saw this thing in 2010 and basically did exactly this, you could be the guy or the girl or the lady that sees this thing today. And you just basically put everything down and you just say, let me learn about this. Now, that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I hope somehow that this helps you to understand this whole concept, because that is the simplicity of Bitcoin. You don't have to be complex. You don't have to be a trader. You don't have to be all these things that we are all gunning for. You just have to understand this, and on regular basis learn how you can accumulate this on consistent basis. Understand the power of compound interest or compound action, and then let that be represented in your Bitcoin amount. Of course, there are other things you have to learn, and I always say to the people, please look at this thing as education. This is just something to help you to be more educated. Do not take this information and just basically go blindly and just go and buy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying, now that you know this, dig a little bit more. Guys, with the Empire TV is just basically a communication channel for the Empire Academy. In the Empire Academy, we are allowing everyone to come in there, whether you are an expert, whether you are new, whether you know nothing, whether you don't know anything about trading, whether you don't want anything about trading. We create a home for you to say, hey, you can also be part of this groundbreaking opportunity. This technology, I believe it's going to be one of the biggest mistake if anyone misses it. I think it's going to be the mistake of the century. I'm glad that this video is going to be on YouTube, because 100 years from now, people could be listening to this video and they'll see how correct I was. This could well be the biggest, for anyone who's going to miss this, this could be the biggest mistake of the century. I promise you. Now, come and learn. Make sure that you look below on the description to see if you can be part of that. We have a free community where you can start. We have free courses there, and we also have a paid community where you can access premium content. Because buying these things on a regular basis requires a little bit of knowledge as well, because Bitcoin is not like a US dollar. It's a bit different. With Bitcoin, the transaction fees are charged on the size of your transaction, not how much you are sending. And because of that, you need to also think about transaction fees as and when you are buying Bitcoin on a random basis. If you have about 100 to 500 transactions after a couple of years, and they are not properly reconciled, it might work against you when you start spending that Bitcoin. So you want to also understand how those things work. So with the Empire Academy, we basically take anyone who wants to learn about crypto and we give you the basics. But more than anything, we help you to build a financial sovereignty account. The account that is owned by you, the account that makes you your own bank, the account that give you that sovereignty, full ownership, and All we do is just guide you. That's it. So I hope everything that I've shared today will somehow help everyone understand that with this, you can literally have a fractional ownership in the ecosystem of Bitcoin. This is the first ever decentralized money system in the world. And a lot of people may not understand what that means. I will not be talking about it today. We are going to have just a specific video dedicated to that, whereby we break it down. What does it mean to have a decentralized money system? And once you understand that, you will understand that this is the most important subject that deserves to be on everyone's table. Guys, I've come to the end of this episode, and let's have a conversation. Share your views. If you like the video, once again, click the like, but more than anything, help support the channel to grow. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye.